full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are the #1 killer of children 1 through 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
The answer is yes.
Morning and welcome to the January 28, 2019 workshop of the Orlando City Council. Council, you'll recall back in 2011 we created the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District, NID for short, to bring property owners and advisory council together to have a unified board to help improve that area. We've had great growth down there, all the things that Orlando Health is doing, a lot of interesting retail going on, a Sunrail stop, and certainly one of our vibrant Main Street districts. So today I thought it'd be a good idea if we had an update on how the NID's working. And Brooke, can you start us out?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for the opportunity to give you an update today on the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District. I think this will actually be the first update that you've received formally on this project since its inception in 2011. And as a reminder, you all sit as the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District Board of Directors, and then the ordinance that was approved in 2011 to establish the Downtown South Neighborhood Improvement District also allowed for the creation of a Downtown South NID Executive Committee or Advisory Board, and representatives from that group are here with us today, and they represent businesses and properties that are within the NID. It is a 1,200 parcel area that represents 720 acres of great potential and growth opportunity in the heart of our city. I'd like to introduce and turn this over to Martin Hudson. We call him Marty. He works in the Economic Development Department, and he was hired in 2017 to serve as the Downtown South NID project manager. And so he is actually he's a city employee, but is funded by the Downtown South NID. And we were very fortunate to recruit Marty to serve as the project manager for this area. Prior to coming to the city of Orlando, he was the redevelopment and economic development director for the city of Temple Terrace. In addition, he has served as a long-range project manager for Castle Rock, Colorado, and has also worked on redevelopment in Hamilton, Ohio, as well as Martin County, Florida. And he's been doing a fantastic job for us. So at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Marty, and he will run you through the presentation for today.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Pleasure to be here today, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to you guys about the NID and kind of where it's headed and how things are going. If I might, just before I get started in my presentation, if I could just introduce a few people to you, I'd appreciate that. So we have here today some of our members of the advisory committee that you have. If they could just stand and do a quick wave so they can see you. And they work very hard, meet lots of meetings, so we really appreciate them. We also have today the director for the Main Street of SODO here as well. And her and I meet every week to keep everything moving forward and coordinated. So today, I'd like to just kind of give you a brief overview of what I'll go through. So we have been working on a new master plan for the district. That is completed, and that item will be coming before you in the near future for your review. We have also been working on, obviously, a lot of collaborative efforts with Main Street, and you will see how we have integrated Main Street into the new NID master plan itself. We've been doing a lot of marketing. We're looking at some zoning modifications to the area to create some consistency across the properties there. You're going to see the investments that are going on right now, as well as not only public investments, but the private investments that are going on. So Brooke kind of went through kind of the NID history with you already, but I just thought I might just briefly touch on it a little bit again. So a NID is actually legally called a local government neighborhood improvement district. We all like acronyms. The other thing is that it is a spatial district. It has a staff as well as an advisory council. It has its operating budgets, strategic plans. This is kind of the timeline that you went through. The one thing that I would also point out is that the NID is governed by state statute as well. So the city has a statute that creates NIDs, but the state also has one. It's in Section 163, which governs all the spatial districts in the state of Florida. So like your CRA is governed by those rules as well. And so we do have to comply with those special district regulations on a yearly basis. So here's the district for you. It's about 720 acres. Kind of give you the boundaries here. So it goes from I-4, which is located on the west of the boundary. You have Gore, which is the north boundary, which actually our boundary then touches the CRA boundary. To the south, it goes just south of Michigan down to Pine Lock. And then to the east, it actually goes about a half a block east of Orange Avenue. So one of the things that the community has been doing over the last year and a half is kind of an update to the vision and the master plan that I briefly touched on. And so out of literally probably 40 public meetings that took place, the community kind of landed on 8 core principles for the district moving forward. So one of them is this concept of urban lab. So what is an urban lab? So it's this idea that new ideas and innovation can take place in this district. And actually the tagline for the district is the SODO District, Orlando's Urban Lab. Character of place, social connections, artistic expressions, progressive circulation, sustainable infrastructure, economic development, and programming. So the main purpose of the master plan is just to guide the overall objectives of the investment in the district so that we know that all the pieces of the puzzle are being put together correctly to have the greatest return on investment by the citizens and the city of Orlando in this endeavor. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on is that we've also done for the district is we integrated into the master plan the 4 cornerstone principles of Main Street as well. So the reason we did that is we wanted to make sure that everyone understood how these 2 organizations and their goals and objectives actually intertwine, connect, and can move forward together in an organized way. And so we've actually integrated those 4 principles into the entire master plan so that at any time, whether it's your Main Street director or a citizen or whatever, can see how the efforts that are being done by Main Street and the efforts that are being done by the NID are working hand in hand for the same common goals and objectives. So another item that will be coming to you later this year is we are requesting some minor modifications to the current zoning overlay in the district. So once the master plan was completed, we realized that there were some things that maybe we could tweak to help move that vision forward more. A lot of the changes that you will see, these are pretty simple changes, I think. It's just facade design, making sure projects, meet that urban vision. You'll see things like setback changes, some building height recommendations, signage, as well as just, things related to like parking and stuff. And so it's not this holistic change to the current code. It's more of just some tweaks here and there, especially to help the properties that are kind of in that industrial zone that are located on the east side of the railroad tracks along Division Avenue, to allow those properties, if they so desire, to redevelop into a more urban form for the community and increase the tax base of the city of Orlando. So here is the integration of the different ideas of Main Street. So Main Street is the organization, the design, the promotion, and economic, and they tie in with our 8 principles as well. So how do we coordinate with Main Street to make sure that everything flows smoothly? Well, the first and foremost thing is I meet with Lynette every week. We sit down and we talk. We make sure that we both understand what we're working on. We make sure that where there is overlap, and there is a lot of overlap at times, that we are taking the right person to work on that project or that effort to move it forward as quickly as possible. And I just want to say that Lynette has been amazing to work with, and I really appreciate her willingness to help these efforts move forward. Some of the other things that we work on that are kind of overlapping is things like marketing and branding, social events, economic development, the arts. And then another thing that the NID does to help stimulate the Main Street's ability to assist us in our goals and objectives is we contribute $30,000 a year to their budget as well to help them out. So when it comes to marketing, this district, I always tell people that this district is probably one of the next big moments of economic development in the city of Orlando. It is just positioned so well to do a lot of economic development. And so we have to make sure that we have a very clear message and that we understand who we are messaging to. And so one of the things that we do is, and you'll see here in a minute, is we have economic data that we provide. So when you're working especially with property owners and brokers and developers a lot, they want to kind of know what's the data. Okay, that's kind of first and foremost. The next, we put together a couple of videos in the district so that they can visually see what this district is like in its proximity, because a lot of times what happens, and we get people flying in from all over the country now about this district. We recently met with a developer out of Atlanta. Another one just flew in a week and a half ago from St. Louis. Another one came in from Dallas. So the word is kind of getting out onto the broker street that something's happening here in this area. But what they have to do is they have to be able to go back to their board of directors and explain it to them. So they come and look, and then they go back and explain. And so we try to give them as many tools as possible so that they can actively sell the opportunity to invest in the city of Orlando. And one of the ways we do that is through the data and the videos. We held a developer forum last year where brokers and developers, we had about 40 attend that developer forum. We obviously work with the city economic development department for business incentive programs. We work with CareerSource to help many of our businesses out there find the workforce that they need to continue to grow. This district is in an opportunity zone. And then, of course, there's always state programs that go along with these efforts. So here's just a quick example of kind of the marketing that we do from the data standpoint. So you basically can see that this district and kind of its immediate surrounding area has a very high household income. It has a very high education level, and it has also a pretty high housing price point as well. The employment there, obviously, as we all know, Orlando Health employs almost 20,000 in this district. And that doesn't include all the doctors and kind of the ancillary uses that surround Orlando Health. And so this is a very large job-producing district in this region. So what I'd like to do next is just kind of briefly go over some of the projects. We didn't list them all, but these are kind of what I call some of the big ticket projects for you that are moving forward. One of the things that we try very hard to do is make sure that every time we spend NID money, we are matching it with more money from someone else so that we are leveraging those dollars to their maximum capacity. And so some of the projects that are coming forward is Orange Avenue. So phase 1 of Orange Avenue, which will actually start way south of the city and come all the way up to Grant Street, where Ace Hardware is, and the Super Target. That is phase 1. Orange Avenue is a state road. That project is moving forward, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. We're working with your transportation department and Ian and his group on the extension of the bike trail into the district for that received state funds. We're working with Lynx on new bus shelters, art installation. And so what you're going to see is just over the next 3 to 5 years, you will see 20 million plus being invested in the infrastructure of this district. So Orange Avenue Phase 1. In the district itself, so this will go from Pine Lock up to Grant Street. And the construction begins in February. The construction timetable is approximately 10 months. It will start south of the city on the farthest southern leg in the county and work its way northward. This project will then have a Phase 2 that has also been funded by FDOT. So what FDOT is really doing is they're coming in and remilling and repaving the street. What we have been able to do, because we had NID funds, is plus that project. And so what you're going to see is kind of this plussing of a resurfacing project to get the most out of it for the community. So Phase 2 will happen in 2021. So everybody kind of gets about a 1-year construction break before we do the second phase of the project. So this is nothing more than a conceptual drawing, but this kind of gives you a feel for these improvements and what we're looking to do and what the development community then can leverage to do for the city of Orlando. So here's an example of our new crosswalks that are coming. These are all FDOT approved, and so the crosswalks kind of have an orange slice to them, so our logo for the district is an orange. It will have the logo of the district itself embedded into the crosswalks. Some of the other improvements that you're going to see in this area will include things like new blade signs on all the mast arms for the stoplights that are artistic to brand the district. You're going to see new ADA ramps, new bump outs with landscaping that will go into them, although no lanes will be lost in this project. We will strategically put floating islands and some landscaping areas. You're also going to see new lighting at all the intersections with a new LED light that has been approved through OUC. It's kind of this modernist, industrial-looking thing that can actually become a smart pole in the future if the city decides to move in that direction. So the next project I'd like to brief you on is the actual urban trail that's coming into the district. So obviously this project is a bigger project than just what's happening in our district, but the stretch through SoDo will run down Division Street. and it will run on the east side of Division Street, where we currently have all the right-of-way needed to do a separated, graded bike trail, okay, through the district. There will also be a spur line that will run from the bike trail on Division over on Columbia to the transit station and Orlando Health. So this is, once again, a conceptual drawing of this concept of creating, more urban space, more density, more development, more investment in the district. And we believe that the trail will help spur some of that. So the trail, will also have art installed along it. We're looking at some really unique features that we could do along the trail to kind of really give it this kind of extra spatial attention and visualization to the area. So we're working with Lynx. So one of the things that we noticed when we were working with Lynx, and these things happen just over time. It's not that anybody did anything, but if you drive or you're riding the bus down through there and you notice most of the bus shelters and stops are staggered up and down Orange Avenue, and they're not close to each other, even across the street. And so what we have noticed is we have a lot of citizens that are kind of just darting across Orange Avenue to go from one bus stop to the other bus stop. And obviously, if you've driven Orange Avenue, that's not always your best plan. And so what we're doing is with Lynx, we're actually resiting the bus stops and the shelters so that they are closer together and across the street from each other and closer to intersections where people will actually be able to use a designated crosswalk to get back and forth from the different stops for safety. So obviously one of the things that happens when you're trying to grow a district, and is always very important, is just the arts in a district. So one of the ideas that has emerged, and we're actually working on this right now with our first industrial user on Division Street, which is A1 Block, is they have all these silos. So the cement guys have all these silos out there. And so we're looking to start painting some of these silos as art installation in the district to really start bringing out, that there's this kind of eclectic, unique environment for the private sector to start looking at ways to invest around that. So obviously we have a lot of movement in this district, especially from the bike and pedestrian network. And what our job is and what we're looking to do is connect all the dots. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure it's a cohesive network of movement for everyone. And so one of the things that that was in your budget this year that you approved is that we will be looking at what we call the east-west connectors for bike and pedestrian movement in this district. Those could be things like Columbia, Cayley, Grant, as well as Gore. What we want to do is be able to flow people safely east and west through this district from the surrounding neighborhoods so that they can access Orange Avenue as well as the new bike trail that is going on Division Street. So another project that emerged through all the community input is this kind of unique idea called the O-line. So the O-line needs designed, and so in the budget that was submitted for this coming year, we have money to start working on the design of the O-line. But basically what the O-line is if you've ever been to New York City and been to the High Line, so this is our O-line. So it's not elevated, it's down at street level, but what it would do is create this linear urban vertical art park through the gut of the district along the railroad tracks. And so to give you, once again, kind of a visual of what this might look like, this gives us an opportunity to really bring a project that we believe can garner international recognition for the design and concept that are being proposed here. And so all those meetings and kind of the design of that will come forward to you as we work through the community meetings and programming of that. But this really gives us another thing, and that is that along the properties that are along Division Street, this project will create a third front door for them, which allows for the development community to look at even greater investment opportunities. So instead of just having front doors on the streets, you now have a front door on the back door of the project as well. So the funding of these projects, just to kind of give you a feel for some of them. So Orange Avenue is currently programmed at about almost $3 million for phase one. FDOT is spending 1.5 on the milling and resurfacing. MetroPlan stepped forward with an additional $700,000 for this project. And then the NID stepped forward to cover the extra cost of the upgraded LED lighting for the district. Orange Avenue Phase 2 obviously is a longer stretch, and so it has a higher price tag. That project is going to probably ultimately end up around the $5 million mark. Once again, it's milling and resurfacing, as well as $1 million to $1.2 million from MetroPlan. And the NID has set aside in your budget $750,000 for those upgrades on Phase 2 in 2021. The Division Avenue Bike Trail, so FDOT has come forward with about $5 million for that project. The NID has set aside approximately $200,000 for what we kind of call those pluses, getting the art installed, doing some of those extra things that can really make that space pop. And then another project that's, I don't call this an exciting project necessarily, but one that really needs to be done is the corner of Michigan and Orange Avenue. When you are turning south off of Michigan, it's called the corner clip, and what happens there is the trucks run over the sidewalk. And so we'd like to fix that. That's about $1 million project, and actually Michigan is a county road, and so we've started some engagement with them to see how we can fund that project just to improve the public safety in that area. So investment partners, well, obviously Orlando Health is a major partner in this area. The city council, the city council and the mayor and the city of Orlando, MetroPlan, Orange County, and of course FDOT. So Orlando Health, the way the NID is currently funded, Orlando Health pays in lieu of taxes for the lifespan of the current NID $175,000 every year. So every year they provide that in lieu of taxes. It is known as a pilot agreement with us. The second is then, of course, all the other properties that are in the NID. They pay and generate about $445,000 a year. Obviously, that can go up or down depending on property values. Their portion, whether it's residential or non-residential, is simply an additional $1 million on the properties. So in total, you generate about $600,000 per year for us to be able to go out and do these projects. And so as you kind of saw on the previous slide, for every dollar that we're currently spending of NID funds, we have secured $1.50 to $2 already of someone else's funds. So we are magnifying that investment significantly for the community. The district has about 1,200 parcels in it. So here kind of gives you a feel for the assessed value of the district. I always like to say, as word gets out, things go up. So the assessed value, as you can see, was kind of slow at the beginning, but is actually kind of moving forward more quickly now and going up significantly in this district. And that's because there's a lot of investment starting to take place. There's a lot of movement on property out there now as people are trying to strategically position themselves for private sector investment. And they're specifically looking at our investments and saying, that's where I want to go. So some of the projects, and this is not a complete list, but that's just happened over the last year or will be opening this year. We have the Delaney Hotel and Restaurant that is actually wrapping up its design and its project. Town Place Suites is going in next to the other new hotel on Columbia Street, and that breaks ground, they believe, this week. The new McDonald's, so if you haven't been by, it's kind of this modern design. It's great. It's right up to the sidewalk. It fits the urban context of the area. We have 2 large townhome and row housing projects that are going forward. One is on Grant Street, and the other one is on Jersey Street. We also have the redevelopment of the Shell gas station, which was located at Michigan and Orange Avenue, and that is a commercial and office tenant use. You have Rock Pit Brewing that is going into one of the industrial buildings just off of Orange Avenue. Maudlin on Division Street just invested $15 million in their new corporate headquarters. Lucky's Market and a mixed-use development is going literally just across the street from the boundaries of the NID, and they market it as SoDo. Novell Lucerne, once again, is literally just across the street from our boundaries, but they market themselves as being in SoDo as well, and will have an Earth Fare grocery store in the first floor of it. We work constantly with Barbara and her team on Pulse and the future of that development to make sure that our investments and the things that they are trying to trigger as well coordinate seamlessly to make sure that everything flows well for that project as it moves forward. Fresh Kitchen recently opened. And then a couple of big projects. So Orlando Health, as I've already kind of mentioned, is really big out here, right? And big for the city of Orlando. And they have just announced over the last just couple of days 2 new projects in the district. So the first one is going to be a 5-story Class A office building with an attached parking garage that will be located on Sly Avenue, right across the street from the historic train station. This project is so important to the NID and to the future of the NID because this project sets the tone next to the train station of quality TOD development. And so we believe that this really sets the tone for the future of Sly Avenue as this great TOD area around one of our train stations here in Orlando. The second project is actually on Orange Avenue and is literally just north of the city's fire station at Cayley and Orange, and it will be a new imaging center that's coming forward as well. So that empty lot will be redeveloped moving forward this year. So kind of as a wrap up to this presentation is, the city of Orlando adopted a NID ordinance to have NIDs in the city. That allowed the city then to move forward with the SoDo or South Downtown NID. All NIDs must comply with the state statutes of Chapter 163 for special districts. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have on the SoDo NID or the NID development program for the city of Orlando.
Wow, great presentation, a lot of good information. I think I learned quite a bit, quite honestly, that I didn't know was going on just south of downtown. Commissioner Sheehan, I thought you'd probably want to weigh in first off.
Indeed, I do, because this is my district, and I've got a lot of sweat equity in this too, and I'm very proud to see the work that's being done. This area was really challenged because it was a transition area going from industrial uses. How are we going to redevelop this area? And because there's a lack of infrastructure on industrial property, there was this: how are we going to be able to do this? Because industrial property doesn't have sewage, the infrastructure that's necessary to redevelop the area. The hospital and business district needed to kind of work together on the capital improvement projects, and there was a little bit of blowback at first. People were upset. They're thinking the hospital is pushing this, they're going to benefit from it, yet they're not paying into it because they're not for profit. Well, they are actually investing in this very heavily, which you saw. So again, that was something that we needed to work out during that process to make it clear that the hospital wasn't just going to benefit, they were actually going to participate and actually pay into it, even though they didn't have to. I want to thank Jason Burton, because Jason was here from the beginning when it was really rough, when there was that blowback, against the hospital and everything like that, and the city's trying to push this on us and it's not going to benefit us. Sometimes people do have that tendency to push back, and Jason really, helped us go through that process. So I really want to recognize him for his work there. And Marty and the board, I have to tell you, I know it was difficult because at first we had the Main Street and the NID board merged, and it didn't work out because there was unfortunately there was like a constant tug of war between, planning and dealing with, things that were happening in the area, especially during Pulse. Because the Main Street manager had to basically leave to go deal with crisis control, and the NID stuff was going on the back burner. So there was a competing interest. I think it's really good to have a NID manager and a Main Street manager that work together, but have that be 2 separate positions. But that's something that we learned the hard way. We had to kind of go through those growing pains. I love that they're also integrating the cornerstone principles of Main Street, because that's important to do really, really good redevelopment, but it also integrates the smaller businesses working with the larger businesses in the area in a really cooperative way that I haven't seen anywhere else. So I'm really proud to say that's happening here in SoDo. The pedestrian safety is incredibly important as we transition these uses in an area where people aren't used to, they're used to traveling, but they're not used to traveling safely. And I preach and preach and preach and preach. I want to get off that #1 pedestrian fatality, city in America. And the only way to do that is by investing in infrastructure on both sides of the street with connected crosswalks. So Marty, thank you for providing that and listening, because I think and listening to the community, because that's critically important. We don't want people getting injured, especially in our hospital district. That's just counterintuitive. And I love the blade signs, the separated bike trail, the O-line. I mean, I just think that's brilliant. The way that we've worked to reclaim railroad areas like we've done with the Orlando Urban Trail create amazing opportunities for recreation, and kudos to you for identifying that, and I look forward to seeing what's going to happen to that. So again, it's been a pleasure working with all of you. We'll continue to do so. Harlan, I know you've had a lot of heavy lifting on this as well, but it's taken 7 years. Sometimes with planning it takes a while to see something to fruition, and it didn't just happen overnight. Everybody probably looking, well, how'd y'all get that so quickly? It didn't happen quickly. It happened over a course of many years. But I do believe that these neighborhood improvement districts, the extra mill, is an amazing investment, and now you can see what happens when you really apply that. So thanks to all of you. Sherry, this is just great work, and I'm delighted to see it moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stewart.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Great job, Marty. I think it's innovative. I mean, we were here, as with Commissioner Sheehan, we were here at the beginning and heard all the challenges that were ahead of us. And part of the challenges we all said was there are other areas in the community that also would like to have the same kind of thing. And how do we move that down? I think we're at a point now where we need to begin exploring that. Because we've seen and learned a great deal from this. We know kind of where we need to go. As we change, as we share some of those challenges with individual neighborhoods, they seem not to want to address it in a way that really is productive. But I think we've learned a lot, and I appreciate the work you've done. And Jason, appreciate the work that you've done over there. Because I think it's, Commissioner Sheehan says it often. It's not often that we get a chance to see something where we started it and stay on long enough to see it accomplish that. I mean, because it takes so long. But I appreciate your perseverance and the perseverance of our entire economic development staff to make that happen. I'm really excited about the plans. I mean, Commissioner Sheehan said the same thing. Bringing those segments and those phases in, I think really enhanced that entire area, and having a lot of that leadership by Orlando Health really gives that kind of direction and core, and really creates this whole district. And I think that's important. And then partnering with SoDo, I think we learned a very important lesson, as Commissioner Sheehan has said, that they really are separate goals, but they have to be complementary. And doing that, I think we've had success. So I want to say congratulations to you where we are.
Thank you.
And then would love to pull aside some time with you and look at some of the areas in our district that would like to move forward and begin to start see if we can put a plan together for them to let them see what the path looks like for them. Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. Marty, thanks to you, thanks to the team, thanks for the board. Great ideas, great plans. My question is kind of about funding. When I look on page 6, your last bullet point is all of these great ideas are going to cost plus or minus $20 million. Mm-hmm. When I look on page 12 at your funding sources, you're at about $12 million. So we got to raise some money. So talk me through that strategy, because we've got a gap.
Yeah, so actually I don't have all the projects that are on here that are funded. I was trying to kind of just keep this as focused as I could, but there are several other projects that are in farther out years that we've been working with FDOT on funding. So there has actually been about $7 million secured for Columbia and slide to also be improved upon. But the funding time frame of that hasn't been locked down yet. And so I didn't want to, kind of bring all that forward until I knew this is when this is going to happen. But those additional funds are in there, which would bring us up close to the $20 million that I mentioned.
And the FDOT money is funded, approved?
It is, and this project has been being worked on for quite some time, and it's trying to kind of secure kind of those last dollars, what I call, to kind of get it wrapped up so that it can move forward. And I can tell you that it will be an important project because of the improvements and all the development that's coming in that area related to Orlando Health, which we are also coordinating with right now, so that as we do the final designs for Columbia, they match the new master planning effort being done by Orlando Health for that area.
Good. Thank you. I wish you the best.
Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Was any of the money on the ancillary roads I-4 Ultimate money? I don't remember.
No. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Great presentation. I tell you, I'm thankful for this workshop because as we move forward under the support and leadership of Mayor Dyer, trying to think about incorporating Paramore.
Are you on, Commissioner Hill?
Oh, I'm sorry. There we are. I said, thank you. What a great presentation. As we move forward under the leadership of Mayor Dyer and in the support of Sherry and Thomas Chapman, thinking about incorporating Paramore as our 11th Main Street. It was very informative, especially when it came to the funding avenues. I was trying to figure out how is the NID funded when you stated you match your dollars, so this is very detailed for me. And I wasn't here 7 years ago, but I did live in the Soto district, if you could say. It wasn't Soto then, but back in the early 90s and late 80s. And it was somewhat blighted, I think, trailer parks and a whole lot of things that wasn't so becoming. So the progress that you have made there in the NID Soto is amazing. I was sharing with Commissioner Sheehan a few weeks ago. I was over in the area and you can't even recognize the place. But all the growth and a lot of great eateries and economic development. So congratulations to the NID Main Street and the Soto District for all you're doing and all the art that you're incorporating in that, which I'm not surprised when you have an artsy commissioner and an artsy mayor. It's just, it's something to beat. So with that, I also wanted to find out, they always say a stupid question is the questions you don't ask. So I'm going to ask the question, what is a smart pole?
Okay, so a smart pole can be like a light pole that you use, but it has the ability to have technology embedded into it. So it can do things from everything from being a Wi-Fi for the district. You can install sensors into it that can check for air pollution. You can also do things that even down to gunshots. It can actually signal that a gunshot has been heard within its district and actually call 911. So it's really about, we just wanted to make sure we got the right things in place so that if the community and the city decided to roll out these technologies in the future, the poles that we're installing today don't have to be taken out with new ones put in for you.
And last question, always thinking about District 5. That urban bike trail, that division urban bike trail, is there any future plans to expand it all the way to our sports entertainment district of division?
Yes, and so, the details would need to come from transportation, but I can tell you that project goes all the way and makes all the final connectors all the way to the north of downtown.
Wonderful. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Ains?
Thank you, Mayor. Martin, I'd just like to say great presentation, excellent job there. But would you just elaborate a little bit more on the Gore and Michigan Street with the Shell station? Because I know it's all torn down there, but I'm not sure what type of development is actually going on there.
Yeah, so they came in with a preliminary site plan, but they haven't finalized that plan yet. But what they showed us was a one-story office/retail building on that corner that would be built out to the corner with like new landscaping wrapping around the corner there for the pedestrian area. So that's the project that's currently being proposed by the developer of that site. It's kind of a tight site, but it's important just because each time you beautify a corner, it really kind of makes a location kind of pop. And so we hope that they move forward as soon as possible.
So what's happening with the other buildings just to the east of it and north on the same corner?
Okay.
I see some development taking place there, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah. So that project is just they're remodeling some of those buildings there, and there are some new tenants that are going to be going in there. And if you go north of that site, so that's actually where Advent Health has several of their localized kind of like urgent care and that kind of stuff located in the district as well. The Starbucks, which is just north of that, actually will be closing because a new one's opening up at Lucky's, and I can tell you that old Starbucks will quickly be consumed for a new project.
Yeah, do you know who's going in there actually?
I don't.
Okay.
I know I have a bank coming on another location. We also have the new Foxtail Coffee as well coming on Orange Avenue.
Yeah. All right, thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you,
Commissioner Sheehan.
And I'd be remiss in the wrap-up not to point out that this business district actually agreed through the NID to invest and be taxed an extra mill. So again, this isn't something that followed manna from heaven. We had to get those businesses and residents to agree to pay an extra mill. So again, this is self-funded. This is not taking money out of the city budget. This is how Marty's paid. So again, I just want to be clear that it's a challenge to get these passed. It was a challenge when we worked to get it passed, but it's a wonderful investment. So thanks again. But I just wanted to point that out. Again, they're paying for it. The businesses in that area are benefiting from it because they are investing in it. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you very much for your time.
That'll conclude our workshop for today. Into our agenda review meeting for January 28, 2019. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on any of the items that are on the consent agenda today for 2 o'clock meeting? Any cards, Madam Clerk?
None.
Then we'll move to commissioners, and I think we had skipped ahead to Commissioner Sheehan last time around, so we're coming back to Commissioner Stewart this time around.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything except let me just share a personal thanks to everybody who's expressed their love and concern for my wife. I appreciate that a great deal. And as we're kind of among family, results have come back as best as we can expect. All the tests were negative, and so she'll be starting some treatment in a few weeks. So I just want to tell you that thank you for everybody. It means a great deal to me personally to know that the city family has cared so much for us, and so I just want to share that personally with you. So thank you very much.
Well, Commissioner, all our thoughts and prayers have certainly been with you and Ann and the family, and we're glad to hear the good report.
It's great news. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Mayor, I met with staff, so I got all my questions answered, but I would just like to, if I can, tell a little inspirational story. My aide, Bill Stevens, decided he was going to run a full marathon. I thought he was completely insane because Bill has not trained for that one step. And I know, and this is how he got me to run a half marathon. I trained, he did not, he beat me. And he decided to run 26.2 miles, and I'll be darned if he did not, in the freezing rain on Sunday, run the Celebration full marathon in 6 hours. So y'all run by the office and congratulate Bill, because I can't believe that crazy thing managed to run a marathon through force of will alone. So,
and with no training?
With the guy, Mayor, I am in Fitbit, okay, with him. I know he only goes like a couple miles a day. And he goes out and runs a marathon. I say, hey, Bill, how are you going to do this? You haven't trained. You don't know about the nutrition. And he goes, right here. So again, force of will. The man's stubborn as he could be. He's amazing. And please congratulate Bill on his first full marathon. If he can get up to give you a hug.
Wow. Pretty impressive.
Yes. Impressive indeed.
Commissioner Hill?
Staff has briefed me, but if I can get a moment to speak with Kevin Edmonds afterwards, that'd be great.
Commissioner Ings?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything, but I would like to say thank you to yourself and the council and all of the city family for your support, your condolences, and your kind words of comfort to me and my family, and especially to Edgar Malave, who was very close and took care of Pearl, my stepmother. And the family was truly blessed by the presence of OPD, and I'll say a little bit more at council, but I just truly want to say thank you for your heartfelt sympathy and all of the care that you have expressed to me and my family. Thank you so very much. I'm going to miss him.
Yeah.
I'm truly going to miss him, because not only was I his firstborn, but we were on the police department together. We worked together. Though he disciplined me, he trained me well. So thank you very much, and thanks again.
It was certainly a very beautiful going home service, and I was glad that a number of us could be there.
Yeah, when they got to the part about kissing, you know, I wanted to just shake your hand.
You did. Commissioner Gray?
I'm fine with the agenda. I'd love to see Chris and Lori if I could real quick.
Which Chris?
I'm sorry, Chris McCall.
Okay. All right, then we'll stand adjourned until 2 o'clock when we will conduct our regular scheduled council meeting.
I mean, it was you.
Have you seen the fountain at Lake Eola? It's huge! Check out this lady's head. It's huge! Lake Eola swan boats are incredible. They're huge! Did you know there's almost a mile of walkway around Lake Eola? It's huge! Have you seen the feet on this guy? They're huge! Did you know that a swan's bill is larger than a duck's bill? That's huge! Have you seen the trees at Lake Eola? They're huge! Lake Eola Bandshell, it's...
I have a dream that my 4 little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
big round of applause for LaRue Howard and friends, ladies and gentlemen. Now we ask that everybody please stand for the presentation of colors, led by Orlando Police Department Honor Guard.
Honor Guard, up and pull! Forward, pull!
Please remain standing as Mariah Johnson, great-granddaughter of Arthur Pappy Kennedy, will now lead us in our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner